Hello, everyone. Welcome to the betting edition of Baseball Insiders. It is myself, Ian McMillan, once again joined by Peter Dewey. Don't worry, the normal show will still be going live today, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Adam and Robert will be live. But on this version of the Baseball Insiders, we're going to talk some betting for the biggest series of the week. The two World Series favorites are going at it, the Atlanta Braves and the LA Dodgers. Really quick, we'll recap how we did. I think, was that the start of last week? I think it was the Rays and the Mets. I went 2-1 with my picks. Peter, I'll let you break the news. How'd you do with your picks?
0-3. Not good. Not good. I trusted the Rays. I put some faith in the Rays, and they lost to two terrible pitchers. So that wasn't fun. I also put my trust in Justin Verlander, and he got rocked. So looking to bounce back this week. Due for some good wins this week.
Yeah, probably not many people would have expected that the only game the Rays would have won in that series was the game that they were facing Justin Verlander. But that's the way it went. I actually got that pick right. I was on the Rays, and then I was on the over for the second two games. The over hit the first time, did not hit the second time. So I will take my 2-1. Peter, I expect better of you this time around. Let's go.
I do too.
Like I said, it is the Dodgers, it is the Braves. Once again, though, we only have odds as of recording this, as of going live, because we are live for the second game. So we have odds for tonight. We don't have odds for the second game, but we do have the pitching matchup for both game 2 and game 3. So we still can make some picks here based on that. Let's do some quick recap of the two teams here. Who do you want to take, Peter? Do you want to take the Braves or the Dodgers?
I can take the Braves for you.
All right, go ahead. Let's talk Braves.
So Braves obviously got off to a really hot start, just 4-6 though in their last 10 games coming into this series. Max Fried, Ian Anderson, Kyle Wright, all out of the rotation with long-term injuries. So kind of had to piece together some of this rotation. I know they used an opener in Jesse Chavez at one point last week. So little bit of nervous times this early in the season to have that going on, but their offense has still been great. They're third in Major League Baseball in OPS. Ronald Acuna has the second best batting average in all of the majors at 344. And Ian, I saw a wild stat over the weekend. Ronald Acuna in the first inning, as of go through Saturday, was hitting 512 in his first inning at bats this season, which is absolutely nuts. And he's also the NL MVP favorite at plus 125. Spencer Strider, who was out of the rotation but is returning in this series from an injury, he is the NL Cy Young favorite at plus 220. So a lot of things to be excited about for this Braves team, but I think the pitching staff, though, those injuries might be able to catch up to them a little bit in a division that's hasn't looked great with the Mets and the Phillies struggling, but it should be one of the tougher divisions of baseball.
Yeah, rotation taking a huge hit for the Braves here. There is a pitcher who is they haven't called back up yet. Some people might have forgotten about this guy because he's dealt with some major injuries, I think at least 2 seasons in a row, but it is a fellow Canadian, Mike Soroka. Don't forget about him. He was a stud in his first few years pitching for the Braves. Second Rookie of the Year voting in 2019, 6th in Cy Young voting. Dealt with a lot of injuries. I think one was an Achilles. I think maybe Tommy John was the other one. He is pitching for their minor league team right now. Hasn't been great, though, so he hasn't been called up yet, but I wouldn't be surprised with all the injuries that they're dealing with if he can get another start or two under his belt at AAA, and if he does okay, he might get thrown back into the mix here. So keep an eye out for Mike Soroka. Do not forget about him. But yeah, you mentioned it, Peter. Ronald Acuna, MVP favorite for the NL. Spencer Strider, NL Cy Young favorite. So they still have some absolute studs in the lineup here. In terms of the Dodgers, still obviously one of the betting favorites to win the World Series. Still a very good team. Their biggest red flag so far this season has been their bullpen. Their bullpen has been atrocious, which is not something we're used to seeing from the Dodgers. It's usually year in and year out. They have one of the best bullpens in the majors, but 26th in bullpen ERA heading into their series with the Braves at 4.7. They're also dealing with some rotation issues. Julio Urias and Dustin May both recently put on the IL. Not really confirmed how long they'll be out for, but they'll definitely be out for this series, probably until the end of the month at the very, very least, probably longer than that. So they're dealing with some rotation injuries. They are winning the NL West, but only a game and a half behind producer Joanne's Arizona Diamondbacks in the NL West. A bit of a surprise there in the NL West, but they are still winning it. The Padres are not living up to their offseason expectations. for in the NL West. A lot of people thought they were going to win the NL West over the Dodgers. Have not lived up to that. In this series, Game 2, they're calling up Bobby Miller. We're going to talk about him a little bit more when we talk about Game 2, but I'm a big Bobby Miller guy. I have him in my baseball dynasty fantasy league, so we'll see how he does. A highly touted prospect for the Dodgers will be making his MLB debut in Game 2, it looks like. Really quick, let's talk futures odds here between these two teams. Like I said, I mentioned a couple times, they are the two betting favorites to win the World Series. The Braves are the favorites at plus 425. The Dodgers second at plus 550. And the other ones, as you would expect, massive favorites, both to win their respective divisions. Braves minus 425 to win their division. Mets have fallen apart. I think the Braves have a 5-game lead right now. And the Dodgers minus 390 to win the NL West, with the Padres stumbling out of the gates. No respect for the Arizona Diamondbacks, so I think are still 11-1 to win the NL West. Playoffs, obviously, we're going to see both these teams in the playoffs. Minus 5,000 for the Braves, minus 3,500 for the Dodgers. We have some series odds as well. If you're going to be betting on who will win the series, and with just 3 games of the series, there will be a winner. The Braves minus 180 to win the series, Dodgers plus 150. Obviously, the series is in Atlanta, so a bit of a advantage for them as well. So there you have it. Any final overall thoughts for the series, Peter? Are you ready to get into some game-by-game picks?
Just before we get into game-by-game, I got to ask you, because I got the question on my board today. Who would you rather bet to win the World Series right now, the Dodgers or the Braves?
I would rather bet the Dodgers, because and this is kind of my feeling heading into the season. I feel like people are so used to the Dodgers choking in the playoffs that they kind of undervalue the Dodgers heading into the postseason. If the Dodgers can just shore up their bullpen, I like the Dodgers. The Braves, I think their rotation injuries are a little bit more serious and long-term than the Dodgers, which might hurt them. But hey, it's a coin flip. I think both these teams have probably equal chances of winning the World Series. So with the Dodgers being at a little bit of a longer price right now, I'd rather bet the Dodgers. If the Braves were plus 550 and the Dodgers were plus 425, I'd go with the Braves. But with the current odds, I'll take the Dodgers.
Makes sense to me. I like it.
What about you?
I think I would go Braves right now. I just think offensively, I think they're a slightly deeper team.
Yep.
The injuries in the rotation definitely are concerning, but you got to kind of, at this point in the season, you got to hope at least a couple of those guys are going to be able to be back, be healthy by the time October runs around. And I just also think the Braves, if they end up winning that division, I think there's like the Dodgers, I'm a little bit more worried. Like, I think the Padres can get hot. Obviously, Tatis didn't play to start the season. Diamondbacks look really good. They're a fun young team. I think the Braves, just in that NL East, they always seem to figure it out. Last year, they looked like they were dead in the water. They still won the division. So I just like them for seeding purposes right now. I think there's a more likely chance that they're one of those top 2 teams that doesn't have to play a wild card game. I think the Dodgers might have a chance that they fall into that wild card spot. So that's why I go with the Braves right now.
Yep, that's a fair point for sure. All right, let's get into game by game. Game 1, obviously, tonight, 7:20 p.m. Eastern, opening pitch in Atlanta. It is Charlie Morton going for the Atlanta Braves, taking on Gavin Stone, who's making his second, I believe, major league start today. His first start did not go very well. So as a result, Dodgers are plus 135 underdogs, Braves minus 155 favorites. The total was at 9 and has creeped up to 9.5 at most places. I found one that was still at 9. So if you want to bet on the total, I'd do it. Or if you want to bet on the over, I would do it now. If you want to bet the under, you might just want to wait a little bit or take one of those 9.5s that are available. But Peter, what way are you going here for game 1, Dodgers Braves?
Yeah, I'm going a little chalky here. I'm going Braves on the money line. I like Charlie Morton in this spot. You look at what he's done this season. Last 2 starts, he's allowed just 2 runs in 12 2/3 innings. He's lowered his FIP on the season to 3.59. Still slightly higher than his ERA, but his ERA is under 3. So he's been fantastic so far. The big thing for me is he's not giving up a lot of hard contact. So 70th percentile in hard hit percentage, 68th in average exit velocity against. And then he's also 71st in whiff percentage. So he's getting a lot of swing and miss as well. I like that coming into a game against the Dodgers team that really just the pitching is going to be an extreme concern for me in this game. Gavin Stone, first start, went 4 innings, gave up 8 hits, 5 runs against the Phillies. And as you mentioned, the Dodgers 26th in bullpen ERA, 4.70 bullpen ERA. So I don't expect Gavin Stone to pitch deep into this game. And even if he does, I don't love the Dodgers bullpen against the Braves offense that's third in the league in OPS. So I like the Braves to win today. I think they got the pitching advantage.
Yeah, if I were to take a side, I'd go Braves as well. But I mean, betting on guys who are making their first, second, or third MLB start, it's always a little bit tricky. We never really know what's going to happen here. I'm going to bet the total instead, because the two things, or really the one thing I can bank on in this matchup, is that both offenses are fantastic. We know that about the Braves and the Dodgers. When you look at OPS numbers, amongst the best in Major League Baseball, I think second and eighth, I think right now. In OPS, the Dodgers, though, are finding ways to score runs, fourth and fifth in runs per game, 5.42 runs per game for the Dodgers, 5.22 runs per game for the Braves. And the Dodgers, very good against right-handed pitchers, so they're taking on a righty in Charlie Morton. They have the third best OPS in the majors against righties, so you might not want to bet on a ton of runs being scored, or the Dodgers in general, when they're taking on lefties, because they've not hit lefties so very well this season, but they are hitting righties well. Charlie Morton did have one start against the Dodgers last season. I know it was just one start, not a huge sample size, but he did give up 4 earned runs and 5.1 innings pitched. And Gavin Stone, not a good first start. As we mentioned, Dodgers bullpen has not been good, so I don't feel confident backing the Dodgers as underdogs. It's hard for me to lay this price on the Braves as well, with just how good the Dodgers offense is, especially against right-handed pitchers. So instead of betting on a side, I'm going to look at the total. I got it at 9. Like I said, it's starting to creep up to 9.5 at most places. Still a couple of 9s out there, so you might want to shop around. But if you're going to bet the over, do it quickly, because I bet by the time opening pitch happens, this total is probably going to settle at that 9.5 number. So I'll take over 9 for game 1 tonight. Peter, you are on the Braves. Once again, that is a 7:20 p.m. Eastern opening pitch. Tuesday, also a 7:20 opening pitch. Spencer Strider going against, looks like reports are, Bobby Miller. As I mentioned earlier, the highly touted prospect for the Dodgers will be making his major league debut on Tuesday night. I cannot find odds for this game. I'll refresh the page one more time to see if they literally just got posted in the last 10 minutes. But I'm going to assume the Braves are going to be betting favorites once again in that game. No, still no odds, but Braves are going to be favored in this game. I would actually suspect it's probably going to be a similar betting line to what we're getting tonight. Minus 155, minus 160 for the Braves, plus 135, plus 140 for the Dodgers. Peter, Tuesday night, game 2, what's your pick for this one?
Going back to the well, I'm going to take the Braves again to win this game. And I agree with you. I do like Bobby Miller, hard throwing righty out of the Dodgers system. But I just don't think I can fade Spencer Strider at any point. He's got a 2.19 FIP right now. He's in the 91st percentile in expected ERA, 93rd percentile in expected batting average against. Just been absolutely lights out this season. And the other thing I wonder in this game is Miller making his major league debut. How far do they let him go? Do they let him pitch as long as they can? Do they limit him to 5 innings? We always see with these young stars, it's kind of touch and go. And that means we're going to see a lot more of the Dodgers bullpen if he ends up only pitching a few innings, and we know how bad their bullpen has been this season. So that's where I kind of lean. I lean with the Braves there. I just think Strider, you look at what he's done this season, like I don't know how you can bet against the guy. Even in his semi-bad starts where he's given up like 3-4 runs, he's striking out 10, 11, 12 guys, where after a while, like the margin for error for the offense, like you're not putting that many balls in play. It's going to be harder to score runs against him. I think with that stuff, he's going to be able to win them this game.
So you're taking Braves money line game 1. You're taking Braves money line game 2. I am back on the total, but I will switch things up from the over. I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to take the under in this one. Now, I will say for the sake of the show, let's just go full game under. But because the odds haven't been posted, I might go first 5 under when I actually go and bet this. Depending on what the number is set at for full game and first 5, I might just want to avoid both the Dodgers bullpen and the Braves bullpen, which I don't think we've mentioned hasn't been great this season either. Dodgers bullpen has been bad. Braves bullpen has been very average, middle of the majors in bullpen ERA. Certainly not as good as what we've seen in years past. But I'm going to back my guy, Bobby Miller. I'm a Bobby Miller guy. Like I said, he's on my Dynasty fantasy team. I drafted him as a rookie years ago. He's been sitting in my minor league system. I'm bringing him up for the first start. He's been my guy. I got faith in him. He did have a pretty strong start. His last AAA start only gave up 1 earned run, had 6 strikeouts across 6 innings. So hopefully his form is peaking a little bit here. And yeah, you mentioned it about Spencer Strider, Peter, 2.96 ERA. But it's pretty rare that we see that good of an ERA, but then that person's FIP is even better than that. But that's the case, a 2.19 FIP for Spencer Strider. So I'm going to back the starting pitchers here. I don't have a ton of faith in the bullpen. So at the end of the day, depending on where the odds, what the odds get released at, I might just stick to first 5 under and hope Bobby Miller goes 5 innings and does all right. But for the sake of the show, I'll just say full game under for now. Follow me on Twitter and I'll tweet out when the odds are if I'm going to be on first 5 or full game. So yeah, I'll stick to the total for game 2. I will go with the under. Game 3, we are switching things up. You're going to go total in game 3. I'm going side. So what way are you going for game 3? It is Bryce Elder, who has been a pleasant surprise for the Braves this season, going up against Tony Gonsolin, a strong pitching matchup for game 3. Another 7:20 p.m. opening pitch set for Wednesday. Game 3, what's your best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to go under here. Same thing as you. I might end up taking first 5 under. Kind of on the fence. If this ends up being at like 8.5, I'm probably going to go full game. But if it's at 7.5, I might go first 5. Just looking at this pitching matchup, Bryce Elder just one start this year where he's allowed more than 3 runs, which is really impressive considering some of the matchups he's had. Gonsolin, the only thing that concerns me, we talk about FIP all the time. He has a FIP that's over 4, just over 4, but he has an ERA of 1.13. So he hasn't gotten burned by it yet. Maybe there's some regression coming eventually, but he kind of did this last year too, where he just was a machine winning games, kind of keeping low scoring games for the Dodgers up until the playoffs, and he started getting knocked around. I am worried about the bullpen, which is why I might end up doing this just first 5. I think that might end up being the best play. And all 4 of Bryce Elder's starts in May so far have finished with 8 or fewer combined runs. So that kind of goes back to where I'm saying that 8.5 is kind of where I'm hoping this ends up being. But I think the bullpens you mentioned are a little bit concerned. The Braves did get Raciel Iglesias, their closer, back recently, so I'm hoping that kind of helps mitigate some of their late inning struggles because AJ Minter was kind of terrible in the closer role, so hopefully him being in a more of a setup role is a little bit better. But yeah, Bryce Elder, really surprising young starter. The Braves have kind of had a few of these guys. Ian Anderson had the year that he was really good. You talked about Soroka, where they've just kind of brought guys up, Strider as well now, that have been lights out, and maybe Bryce Elder's that next guy. So I'm going to roll with the under here.
Yeah, and I mentioned, obviously, I did mention, we obviously don't have betting odds for this game 3 days out here, or 2 days out. I don't know who's going to be favored in this game, to be honest. I would say the odds are going to be the closest of the 3 games will be this game. I would assume, especially with the Braves being home, they're still going to be favored. I would say by probably not as much as they are in game 1 or game 2. So I'm going to assume, based on my pick here, that the Dodgers are going to be slight underdogs in this game. I think that's fair to assume. And I'm going to take the Dodgers in this one. I think I'm going to take them as an underdog in this spot. Listen, I like Bryce Elder as well. I'm not fully sold that he's as good as his current numbers are, though. I mean, a 2.06 ERA. His FIP does regress a little bit to 3.35. I think he's going to be a very good pitcher in Major League Baseball. Is he going to be as good as his current numbers this season? I don't know. It's not like this guy was a top-tier prospect. This guy was drafted in the 5th round of the 2020 MLB draft. So he's been a big surprise for the Braves, and good for him. But in terms of just blindly betting on Bryce Elder starts, I just need a bigger sample size before I'm fully all in on Bryce Elder. Now he's taken on Tony Gonsolin, who, yes, Peter, you pointed out his FIP has not been as good as his ERA. But this is a guy who has a handful of seasons now under his belt, prove that he can do it time and time again. He is a very good pitcher, and this is a guy who dominated the Braves last season. Only 2 starts against the Braves last season, so small sample size, but a .77 ERA against this Braves lineup in 2 starts last season. So I will take the Dodgers as slight underdogs in game 3. And there you have it. Those are our best bets. So game 1, I got the over 9. Game 2, I'll take the under. Might be first 5. We'll see. Game 3, I'm taking the Dodgers as assuming they're going to be slight underdogs. Peter, you're taking Braves both in game 1 and game 2. And then game 3, under also might be full game or first 5, depending on where the total lands when the lines are posted.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Like I said, Baseball Insiders will be back. The normal show will be back at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, today. So stick around for that. Adam and Robert will be talking about teams that are trending up. They have 3 teams that are trending up, 2 teams that are trending down. Yeah, so I'm interested to see what they say about that. I will be tuning in. You should as well. That's 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Good luck with your bets this week, not only in the Braves-Dodgers series, but in all the other series and all the other bets that you're going to place. May Gambler, the gambling god, bless all of your bets. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time.